Story 1. The internet is unstable right now. I haven't talked to my parents in a few hours. They are not in any of the affected cities, fortunately, but the people who were there were safe last I heard. I'm going to be honest, people are scared, but they also have to live their lives. From what I have seen, it is terrifying. Story 2. My friend in London lost track of her parents in Tehran for a few tense days. The parents managed to flee to Turkey. Story 3. Be aware it is being widely reported that internet connectivity across Iran is not stable right now, with the authorities saying they have had to shut off access to protect against cyber attacks. There is a high likelihood that anyone on the social news aggregation, web content rating, and discussion website claiming to be a resident of Iran right now is not being honest. Story 4. Haven't been able to get through to family there in a while. Some have fled to Turkey to stay with family. I have a 91-year-old grandmother in Tehran with severe post-traumatic stress disorder from the Iraq War in 1979 and 1980. I am very scared for her. The last I heard, she was okay, with some family staying behind to take care of her, but I am very worried. Story 5. The internet is down, so you will not get any replies from real Iranians. 60% of my family members live in Iran, mostly in Tehran. We are only able to reach them occasionally. They are scared, devastated, and heartbroken. They are worried and anxious, and the aggression gets worse every day. They want this to end. They fear for their lives and their children's lives. War is horrible in every single way. Story 6. Know a guy whose dad just flew into the United States for Father's Day, the same day the incident occurred. They could not care less about the leaders but are deeply worried about the families still there. Story 7. My wife is from Iran, and her mother still lives there. We have been able to talk with her every day so far, but currently the internet is down in the whole country. Previously, virtual private networks would solve the problem, but now the egress links just do not seem to work. My perception is that the reality for many people is somewhere between the wildly divergent views seen in different corners of Reddit. Some subreddits are clearly backed by the government of Iran, while others seem to be Mossad side projects. Obviously, people do not like being bombed, but the regime is also widely unpopular. I think that instead of asking what any specific individual is feeling, a better option would be to learn some of the history of Iran. The modern history is probably more well-known, including the Central Intelligence Agency coup as well as the Islamic Revolution. Interestingly, both of these regime changes essentially came after a leader discussed socializing Iranian oil. Both the democratically elected prime minister and the Shah were talking about this shortly before they were ousted. The Central Intelligence Agency has admitted to being behind the coup which replaced the prime minister, but no such admission has occurred in the Shah's case. The history before that is relevant too, especially given the current conflict. For those who are not aware, Persians are not Arabs, and mixing them up will certainly upset your local Persian friend. This is relevant because when Israel says their fight is not with the people of Iran, I actually believe they mean it. The great Persian King Cyrus is revered and viewed as a savior of the Jewish people. This is not a Palestinian versus Israeli kind of situation. It is a situation where the two peoples were generally fond of one another, and only since the Islamic Revolution have things soured greatly. Certainly, many people in Iran are Muslim, but it is similar to how many people here are Catholic. They might check the box, but it is not a huge part of who they are. Just like the average Catholic here would identify more strongly with many aspects of their life than their religion, such as occupation, ethnicity, or family history, most people in Iran think of themselves as Persian before anything else. Even among the majority Muslim population, a large portion likely believes a theocracy is a bad idea and longs for the days of secular government. The issue is immensely complicated. The only thing that makes me hopeful is that when leaders in both the United States and Israel say they love the Persian people, I do not think it is entirely lip service. Nearly all of Beverly Hills is Persian, and many influential people in the United States befriend a lot of Persian people. Historically, Israel has loved the Persian people and not forgotten what Cyrus did for them. So while it may be selfish, I think that Iranian people being viewed as they are may help them avoid ending up like Iraq or Palestine, though I may be naive. Story 8. It takes 10,000 words to really capture it, but my Persian family essentially believes that the regime is terrible and that it would be good for them to be gone. However, having Israel intelligence and government agencies, and to a lesser extent the United States, be the ones to bring it about carries with it baggage that is way too heavy to carry. That is to say nothing of their current approach, tactically or strategically. It is a catch-22. Story 9. My family is in Iran. We reside in Tehran, but I live abroad. We dislike the regime, but we do not want intruders. Story 10. The Iranian internet is down. You will see people outside of Iran expressing their opposition to the war and receiving support. Story 11. I'm not Iranian. I'm in the United States. An Iranian friend in the United States told me today that the whole country's internet is down. She was able to talk to her brother for the first time in the last 7 days by direct phone call. Other relatives cannot be reached yet. Benjamin Netanyahu is warning Iranians to evacuate certain areas ahead of time through videos directly addressed to the Iranian people, while Iranian authorities are giving mixed and contradictory statements. Israeli targets and nuclear facilities in Iran are located sporadically and secretly throughout the country, so the general public is unaware of upcoming attacks. In summary, communications are down and people are scared. Story 12. Answer from my Iranian coworker who still has family in Iran that just lost their house to an explosion. I wish they hit our president. They support Israel in removing their government but are also afraid of what will happen afterward. Though her father was captured by the military and beaten, he was an ex-politician opposing the government, and she was told he died. He ended up being alive, was released, and made his way to the United States where he and his children now live. She really hates their government for good reason but wishes innocents did not have to die from missiles and bombs. She does not think the Israelis actually care for the civilians either. Story 13. I have discussed this with Iranians at work in a Western country who have families still there. Their response is straightforward. Forget politicians and their narrative, and they are obviously scared for this to escalate to a whole other level. Usually, people are not the problem. Story 14. Iranian American here. Obviously, the internet is down, but we have been keeping some connection with intermittent data and conventional phone lines, which do work at least in my family's region. The most honest answer I can give is everyone is very divided with complex emotions. First, everybody hates this government, the mullahs, the Palestinian cause, and the war with Israel. So nobody views this entire war as something justified or worth it. I can't say that people are excited about the Israelis bombing Iran, but I think because so many people have lost so much to the Islamic Republic of Iran, they feel that the mullahs are getting what they deserve. However, because people are dealing with seeing actual bombs fall around them and, of course, the chaos, uncertainty, and the collapse of public services, most people are unable to feel any sort of happiness or hope. They are all scared and just want this to end. So most Iranians in Iran are stuck in the middle where they want this government gone but are unable to deal with the reality that their country is being bombed. My personal opinion is this was always going to happen. No totalitarian dictatorship has ever been overthrown peacefully. Whether it was Idi Amin, Pol Pot, or Saddam Hussein, they were all overthrown via a foreign force. The alternative is us staying an eternal dictatorship like Cuba, North Korea, and China. Story 15. An Iranian who is not in Iran but has family there and live there. People are scared and devastated. Some of my family left Tehran. Others did not. No one wants war. They do not like the government of Israel or Iran, and they want the war to stop. Story 16. On Sunday, there was a large rally in my Canadian city organized by the Persian community. They were waving Israeli flags and calling for an end to the regime in Iran and a return to Iran before the revolution. Story 17. A couple of years ago, girls were being murdered because they went outside without a scarf. My guess is, if they could speak, they would say, "We live in a dictatorship. We want new rulers to go away, but we do not want the country to be destroyed in a war." Story 18. Great friend's family is in Tehran. His family is scared of the war but extremely hopeful that they will topple the Iranian regime and that things will change. They are tired of being oppressed and constantly on alert because the Ayatollah is always making threats and showing aggression. Story 19. My aunt in Tehran is trapped there. She says it takes 4 hours of waiting in line to get gas and being stuck 17 to 18 hours in traffic to leave the city. There are also thieves looting abandoned homes. My cousin and her child managed to flee north from Tehran to a small mountain town. Story 20. I hope that after the war, Iran will be a democratic country with all the freedoms it once had. Story 21. Personally, I'm very angry. On one side, people support the country that is literally dropping bombs on us. On the other, people forget the atrocities our own government has committed against us. We are caught in a war between two governments that do not care about our lives. I am from Tehran, and we were lucky to have a relative in another city who took us in. My boyfriend has more than 10 rescue cats, and he has no way to transport them or place to take them, so he is still stuck in the center of the attacks. It is absolutely horrible. All my friends are in different cities right now, and most do not have access to the internet anymore. Our main communication is hourly texts to make sure none of US is dead yet. I am torturing myself by looking at posts online, seeing how many think we deserve this because of the actions of a government we do not support. Sorry for the long rant. I needed an outlet. Story 22. Every Iranian I have met who emigrated has thrived. The government is Iran's biggest problem, not its wonderful citizens. Story 23. I think the answer is the same no matter which country is asked the question. Most ordinary citizens of the world want peace and a good quality of life. They do not want to sacrifice their children. They want to see their children grow up, become educated, and achieve happiness in a career and family. Wealthy people who are far removed from the cost of war are the ones who want to wage war. Everyone else just wants a peaceful and happy life. Story 24. My Iranian neighbors are really hoping for the Islamist government to fall with as few civilian casualties as possible. There are many people in Iran fearing for their lives every day because of the government. The only fear his family has is that this war will not solve the problem and that the regime will return with a vengeance. Story 25. Thanks, Slacker. It was traumatic. Hopefully we will meet and I will tell you the story. I am pretty sure your wife understands how painful it is. We are heartbroken that we left our families there. I did not manage to meet my parents. They have not seen my younger child. We prioritized the children. All I was thinking about when I was there was to make sure we would take the kids out of the war zone. It was always my nightmare to see explosions and bombs in Iran, and it happened in a worse way. The first night attack was 3 hours after I arrived, not far from the place we were. There were many explosions and also the sound of F-35 aircraft in the air. I was shocked, looking at my older child, not knowing where to take her or what to do. I couldn't move. It was really traumatizing. Now we are very worried about our families. Do you have news from your wife's parents? This is from a friend who went there just before the attack. They are now out of the country. Story 26. I have a friend in Iran who is still able to send messages. He has accepted that things are out of his control, but he is genuinely scared of the United States getting involved. Story 27. Hi. I am miraculously connected to the internet and I live in Tehran. I live somewhere in the west of Tehran and I occasionally hear explosions from the airport or its vicinity. About your question. In my opinion, our government is just talk and ineffective. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is the main decision maker here and they are sore losers. They will burn Iran to the ground before accepting defeat. Khamenei is an old man hiding somewhere, and our president has no power. I don't like our president and have not voted for him. However, I believe he has some similarities to Mikhail Gorbachev and can be the person to transfer power. We also have Reza Pahlavi, who is the son of the former Shah of Iran. He is deluded to believe he can ever become Shah here. I know that he doesn't want that, but he has not lived in Iran for 5 decades and has no idea about Iranians. My main problem with him is that he is asking people to go out and protest against the regime. We are in a war. Any protester will be considered a potential traitor and an agent and be shot on the spot. Why would you ask your people to commit suicide? In my opinion, nobody outside Iran has the right to tell the people inside Iran what to do or not to do. Now about Israel. Israel is no savior. They kill anyone they dislike and nobody can say anything. They are committing genocide in Gaza and have proven repeatedly that they are not friends of the Iranian people, even though they say they are. I do not like them. And lastly, about the former US president. I hate him deeply and do not need to explain. I'm not against the war. No Persian protester could ever enter the Islamic Republic of Iran broadcasting and destroy that propaganda and hate. I'm glad Israel destroyed it, and I'm glad someone is targeting Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps members. I believe Europeans are being selfish trying to keep the Iranian government in power without truth or peace. These are my opinions. Thank you for reading. Story 28. Maybe the best thing to do is take a look at the last 50+ years of history to see what has led up to this. Story 29. Iran strictly censors the internet. I have heard that about 80% of people who live there oppose the current government, but take that with caution because there is no reliable way to confirm it. Speaking out against the government is punishable by death. Story 30. I was just with an Iranian friend this evening. His mother was visiting Europe when this started and now cannot get back because the airspace is closed. It seems crazy that she even wants to go back, and he is trying to convince her to stay, but she still has her whole life in Tehran. The parts of Tehran where bombs are hitting are not remote. They are in densely populated areas of the city center. Apparently, many young people are leaving the city for safety, but many older residents are staying put. The general sentiment is that the escalation is based on complete nonsense. The country policing the region has a history of extreme violence with impunity and has not signed the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. I feel awful for him and his country. Story 31. I am Iranian living in the United Kingdom. My homeland is very sadly an Islamist-troubled country. It is a living example of conflict between socialism and Islamist ideologies. Story 32. There is basically no internet connection right now. I can only tell you what I know as a diaspora Iranian and what I know from my relatives. Most people do not care about the deaths of the regime's top officials. Israel has assassinated people like that before, and in fact, many celebrated that. However, it is not an every Iranian is jumping in the streets kind of situation. There are also many Iranians who still support the government, or even if they do not support foreign countries' acts of war in Iran. The vast majority of people absolutely hate what Israel is doing. Not because they killed government and military personnel again, but like in Lebanon last year, they leveled entire apartment complexes to kill one person, bombed a hospital, and most importantly, many think it is unfair that Israel gets to do what they want while Iran negotiates deals that are then torn up by the United States. There are others as well. People who celebrate every bomb that falls, blaming everything on the regime, and people who think they should fight until every Iranian or Israeli is dead. But people like that are in the minority. Story 33. I am Iranian, not American. I downloaded many Lena Paul videos, so I am doing well without internet. I might run out of material in about 48 hours, but there are ways I can briefly connect to the internet, so hopefully I can get new videos that way. Story 34. What is the point of making this post? Because looking at your comments, it seems that you only want people to tell you what you want to hear. Story 35. All the comments revealing the internet is down, and I really do not mean to shame the original poster, but posts like this are real indicators of how removed from reality most people are. It is a sort of let them eat cake situation. The fact of the matter is that all of us who can read this message are in one of the higher percentages of living conditions. We are all far luckier than we would like to imagine. A massive percentage of humanity is unable even to engage on this scale. Story 36. Original poster. I doubt this will receive traction, but there is active consent manufacturing happening on Reddit right now. Everyone knows an Iranian longing for liberation, who hates the regime, and who supports Israeli intervention, which is all completely insane. The United States and Israel already engage in this form of manipulation. Palantir was basically contracted explicitly for this, and Israel has multiple agencies that have been caught doing this in the past. Do not trust anything that concludes people want to be bombed or invaded. Ever. We are basically living through the same kind of manipulation we saw during Iraq. Story 37. I know you want to hear from them directly. That said, I work with an Iranian woman. She asked me if I knew what was happening. She dislikes the regime and says they are stupid and do not take care of their people. Luckily, her family got to safety, and the rest are in the United States. According to her, Iran is the one constantly starting conflict. She is an older woman in her 60s. Story 38. I am not Iranian. I know one person from Iran living in the United States, and they are very scared for their family and friends. They have not supported the regime since 1979, but still, they are hoping this might topple the rulers, although they are not happy about it. Story 39. The entire internet is down in the country. This is typical behavior for a country that believes it is in control. If you receive any replies from anyone saying, "Yes, I know exactly what is going on," they do not. There is a reason you are not seeing any more first-person videos of Israeli strikes on Iran right now. Story 40. People do not realize that in the 1970s Iran was very westernized. Women wore normal clothes, including bikinis. The current regime is oppressive and needs to go. Story 41. Sorry, I cannot find the link, but some independent charity was interviewing Iranian citizens this weekend. Many are in shock at how the regime failed to defend Iran's homeland after 40 years of assuring it would do so. They are also amazed that Israel is not targeting civilians or exclusively civilian infrastructure after being told for decades how evil Israel was. You do not have to reply with exceptions. I am simply posting what a few people were documented saying from their limited Tehran-based perspective over the weekend. Story 42. I am not there right now, but I have most of my family in Rasht, which for the moment has been relatively untouched by the war, except for people from cities that have been hit coming to take shelter there, and some family in Tehran, which is absolute chaos right now. Family in Tehran is scared, understandably so. Some of the strikes have been close to where they live, others not so much. Because Tehran's internet is regularly being cut, even when the Israel Defense Forces warn of evacuation zones, it can be difficult for residents to see them. Now they are cutting the internet for the whole country. I do not know when the next time I can reach them on WhatsApp will be. There is not much anger from my family, but there is a lot of fear and worry about what will happen. Story 43. The majority of the internet is down. It is just internal internet now. The last update from my mom. Everyone is living their usual life. They are not worried about shortages or anything. People are helping each other in every way. Story 44. I am not Iranian, but we have family by marriage in Iran. Those from Tehran have successfully fled, except for one individual from whom we are awaiting an update. However, communications are obviously down. Story 45. It is sad to see the new Iran subreddit as the voice of the diaspora and the true opinions of Iranians because the original Iran subreddit has been taken over. All moderators block criticism of the dictatorship and only allow comments that express hatred toward Israel and America. I made a mild comment about Iranian human rights there and was banned. When the regime is gone, what will the moderators of the Iran subreddit say then? Story 46. I hope that even if the internet in Iran was not down, everyone realizes that the pro-regime Iranians are not going to be on American platforms. Story 47. You may as well delete this post. The internet is down, and if anybody says they are from there, they are just lying and will incite other issues. Story 48. I thought Reddit was banned in Iran along with Instagram, Facebook, and others. Being gay is banned in Iran, so what do you really expect them to have? Everybody I know from there, here in Los Angeles, says they escaped. Story 49. A few years ago, Anthony Bourdain was in Iran. The country has a young population with positive views toward the United States. It is only their government that suppresses their wishes to align with the West. Story 50. I am so sick of it being branded as an Islamic regime. As a Muslim, I feel the need to say it goes against everything I have been taught. I am devastated every time I look at my phone screen. I pray and am thankful that I can live a normal life right now. God is sufficient for us, and He is the best disposer of affairs. Story 51. In March, Lebanon fired missiles into Israel provided by the Islamic Republic of Iran. 2 weeks ago, Syria fired missiles into Israel provided by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Weaponry used by Palestine to attack Israel is provided almost exclusively by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Before denouncing Israel, ask yourself what your country would do if attacked by three separate countries funded and militarized by a fourth country. Yes, attack the country that is funding proxy wars against you. Story 52. I'm curious how Iranians can look at Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and think that it is going to be good once their government is gone. I know they are stuck between a rock and a hard place, but the proof is obvious. Story 53. Not an Iranian citizen, not in Iran. Having frequent business interests in Middle Eastern countries, I have had numerous encounters with Iranian citizens, no Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps or Islamic Republic of Iran military personnel, that is, no one I would consider to be radicalized by the regime. From our cordial conversations over coffee, tea, or rarely a beer, I found that, like most countries, Iran's citizens just want, at the end of the day, to go home, be with and support their families, and live their lives, regardless of the rhetoric coming from their leaders or religious officials. It seems to me that the leaders of Iran, Israel, and the United States all have this in common. They place their own geopolitical positions ahead of their citizens' well-being. Nobody wins in a war. Story 54. An Iranian friend of mine and his family have recently converted to Christianity and embraced Jesus Christ. He is feeling elated and happy, but he also faces persecution, as Khomeini and his Islamic followers will likely come after him and his family. He reported that friends are secretly providing aid from unknown sources, but do not want to disclose any information. He refers to them as their faristas. Despite the risks, he has decided to remain in Tehran to preach the good news, support Iranians, and contribute to the cause. I have noticed that many Muslim converts become some of the most devoted Christians. I lost contact with my friend today, and I pray that God protects him and his family. Story 55. I saw this post literally underneath yours on my overview. Story 56. They are being fed false information about the government shooting down the American F-35 fighter jets bombing Iran. Story 57. I will bet everything they are a group of frightened people, deceived by their leaders, and acting out of intense and historical fear just like the rest of us. Story 58. Not relevant, but I remember when the entire situation happened in Egypt and they shut off the internet during the Spring Revolutions. My friend found a way to connect to the internet using a dial-up modem. Story 59. One of my Iranian coworkers is usually a smiling kind of person. We like to share small talk and not take ourselves seriously. I saw him this morning and dared to ask him for the news. He said, "Only bad news." Story 60. My mother is not able to communicate with her family. My cousin's family lives very close to the first attacks in Israel, and they were very scared, but none of them were hurt. The last thing my mother knows is that my cousin is going to my aunt's house outside Tehran, as they expect to be safer there. That was a few days ago. Since then, there has been no news. Story 61. To everyone saying Iranians are not happy with their government, is anyone truly happy with the government of the United States? Story 62. As an Iraqi, I can say I hate the Persian regime for what they have done to the Arab world. But that is nothing compared to what the United States and Israel have done. If I am even slightly sharing the Persian people's sentiment, which I believe I do, it is that we want both the Persian regime gone, and even more so with Israel and the United States. I feel very sorry for the Israeli people who have to use their dual citizenship to return to their other country of origin. And all that talk of democracy, nobody buys it. Democracy means freedom and rights for all people. Neither side offers this, and I feel bad for all of us non-radical Arabs and all non-radical Jews. I protest all war, and I truly respect the Jews who share this sentiment. I believe this is the spoken or very silent sentiment of the majority of Iran's population, both inside and outside the country. Story 63. Khamenei is going to get many people killed. He just threatens the United States without a care in the world. That is fine when sane people are in office, but he must not be paying attention to what is happening here in the United States. Donald Trump has surrounded himself with yes men and women. If he thinks it will make him look good to bomb them, then what is stopping him? Because Congress will not. They have made that very clear. And last I read, this person fled to Greece or somewhere nearby. This is not going to end well. Story 64. Happy the regime is falling. Scared to death about the outcomes, destruction of land, and loss of innocent lives on both sides. Helpless but hopeful. Story 65. The internet has been taken down by the attacks. However, basically everyone there has virtual private networks. My family is okay, but they are now being targeted in their homes. Israel has bombed the residential area where my aunt lives, and I am afraid. Story 66. As an actual Iranian with my entire family in Iran, even though I will probably get downvoted, I will tell you, we were attacked first and now we are defending ourselves. We are not scared, we are not fleeing, and we are all unified against Israel. We all want justice for the blood of our brothers and sisters who were martyred by the Israel Defense Forces targeting residential areas. That is the truth. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.